Hello, Ferris Farm family. I'm here to talk to you today about the possibility of creating an indoor farm. We're going to take into account that you have a family and a business, and that all of these elements are going to be important. The next generation planning, very important, future management structure, and your capital, especially important. You've spoken to me about how important it is for you to manage these three aspects: your people, which is your family, their development, staff development, and making sure that everyone has the chance to participate fully. The planet is important, especially in farming and reducing usage of the soils and chemicals, and the carbon dioxide reduction that the planet's looking for. And profit, of course, is important. To be able to run the farm into the future, we need to make sure that we manage capital well and generate a profit. So there are opportunities. The year-round opportunity for an indoor farm to produce healthy food with great taste that's produced in an ethical manner, that's a very strong opportunity. There is a weakness in that your farm at the moment has no expertise in the indoor farming. Being just outside Calgary is a strength. There's a large market there, and there is a threat in that if an indoor farm is started without a distribution network and someone to sell your product to, then you can end up making a lot of product that has no market, and that's going to be an issue. So I recommend that instead of thinking of the approach to value of creating the food, growing it, and selling it, that we take the approach of choosing the value the consumer will get, delivering that value to the consumer, and then communicating the value to the consumer. What's very important is the farmer-consumer relationship. They're looking for transparency and trust, that they know that the food is safe, nutritious, and ethically grown in ways they can support. So let's take that approach. Who is the Ferris Farm customer? Is it everyone who wants a low-cost product? Is there a market out there already for Ferris Farm products that are looking for a new variety? Is it a narrow approach on Ferris Farm loyalists, or is it a special person who wants special food? And I think what we're looking at is the bottom right-hand quadrant, a very special kind of consumer who's looking for a very unique product, and it's a very targeted market. So who is that person? Well, looking at the right, it's someone who's willing to spend more for the best food. And they want safe food, nutritious food that's ethically grown. This could be a professional, it could be a homemaker, and of people of all ages and cultural backgrounds. So what is the promise that can be made to these consumers? The problem is that food grown in standard ways tends to travel a long distance, taking a long time, losing a lot of nutrient value in that journey, and resulting in a lot of spoilage. Around 1/3 of the crops produced are spoiled. And the solution that the indoor farm can promise is that fewer miles are required from your farm to your market, taking fewer days and therefore more nutrition and less waste. What's the solution? Well, one is the Sky Greens Singapore vegetable tray. As you can see, it can be done with a potting mix of soil, or it can be done with water and nutrient mix. And this is the tray that holds a number of plants, and here it's a large number of seedlings. It could be a smaller number of fully grown plants, and that's our basic starting point. These trays are placed in an A-frame that Sky Greens called the Grow system, and these trays rotate 2 or 3 times a day so that they either get more sun if they're in an outdoor greenhouse, or more light from a ceiling lighting fixtures. The Ferris wheel structure is turned by water gravity feed system, and the water is recycled, so there's very little wastage. Here's a picture of the Grow system in Singapore. with two gentlemen harvesting some crops. Notice they can stand up as they do this. The AgroGrow towers are customizable, high yield because you can get more trays in the same square footage of footprint size, around 10 times more yield per unit of land area. High quality because pesticides don't have to be used, it's indoors. Low energy use. There is more energy use when we have to use artificial lighting, which we will in your case. Low water use, as I said, and low maintenance which means you can have fewer workers and less labor cost. So therefore, the plan for the Ferris Indoor Farm is to be sustainable, soil-free or with soil, either way. Few to no pesticides, much less water use, and food travels much less distance. Crops grow quickly, increased yield per square foot especially, year-round production, and it's very efficient. So your location is just outside Calgary. You have an enclosed building that can contain 50 of these AgroGrow frames that each hold 36 trays, each tray holding 6 plants. So that's 10,800 plants possible. We can purchase the vertical farm equipment from Singapore or from ZipGrow, which is located in Canada and uses technology from the United States. On the right-hand side of the slide, you see a financial planning worksheet. Very cheap to purchase, $136 from ZipGrow. And it's a very thorough system for putting in all the elements of your farm and making sure that the costs and revenues are fully considered. So we will definitely want to do that in the future. This presentation is a more surface level approach. So which plants? Well, greens, herbs, or fruiting crops is the main choices. Greens are easy to grow, however they don't sell for high price. Herbs are good to grow in that they can continually be harvested once they're mature, but they take a long time to mature. And fruiting crops are fairly easy to grow, although they can be prone to pests and diseases, especially in an outdoor or environment. One key point is if you can't sell it, you shouldn't grow it. So we have to make sure there's a market and a distribution network first for any of these crops. The suggestion here is that we start with strawberries because greens are too low price and herbs take a little longer. So they would be the next thing to start growing. So now we'll ask the question, well, are strawberries the answer? Are they valuable? Yes. People like to eat strawberries. Are they rare? In the winter. Is it easy or difficult to imitate the indoor farm? It's actually not difficult to imitate, so that's more of a problem. And are you organized to run an indoor farm? So not at this time. Therefore, this leads us to some cautionary notes. We should move cautiously to build the Ferris Indoor Farm sub-brand and customer relationships. Again, is strawberries the answer? Well, what kind of product do we have and what kind of market are we going to approach? It's an existing product aimed at an existing market, which means we have to fight for market share against current strawberry producers. They will fight back. The only question that may allow us to have less of a fight is if we can produce premium strawberries that are seen as very high quality and therefore attract a smaller or a niche part of the market. So here's the summary. Product is strawberries, premium price. We need to create a promotion sub-brand for the Ferris Indoor Farm, emphasizing taste, freshness, health, and the ethical processes we'll use in our fight for market share. The places will be indoor at the Ferris Farm. And the persona, the kind of customer we're after, is the one who's willing to spend more for high quality, very nutritious, very fresh, ethically grown food. We have to add value. So this chart asks where can we add value? And the main area in the top row is in operations. The fact it's an indoor farm with the AgroGrow A-frame vertical system is how we'll add value there. More strawberries per surface area. And the bottom layers, we need to add value in firm infrastructure, human resources, and technology. So that's our building and equipment, the people and their training, and the technology that's used. So who's the target market? We have all these choices. Canada, a large market, however very dispersed. Alberta and BC is doable, 9 million people. Alberta is 4 million and Calgary is about 1.5 million. I think in the early going, with the number of strawberries that can be grown and the market demand, Calgary is the first place to start. So stay close to Calgary. Here's a look at indoor farm costs running from this year, 2020, up to 2023. And as you'll note, buying the 50 frames at about $5,000 each is a capital investment of $250,000. That capital investment is made once. Then there's strawberry plants that we buy at the end of this year and then in the third and fourth quarters of the following years. Supplies and labor will be fairly constant. Brand marketing is required, and training and development of staff. Because human resources are very important in an indoor farm. You need a lot of training to make sure that people know exactly how to maintain and harvest the plants. You'll notice the total requirement over 4 years is $384,000, which is a significant sum of money. And that's something that we have to consider when we look at the cash flow. The cash flow is going out in 2020 to buy the A-frames. And then as we start to sell strawberries, we start to see some flow coming back in. But the break even is not expected until late 2022. So that's a fair time to wait to show a profit. So using the balanced scorecard to look at 4 different pieces of how effectiveness is measured. In terms of finance, we have to look for profit margin, break even time, and that capital investment to make sure we have that kind of asset available. The internal process, we're definitely going to look to minimize waste and maximize efficiency. Learning and growth is our human resources, and we have to make sure that, as I said, our staff are well trained, both staff and family. And the customer is very important, that they're satisfied with the product, very high quality, very fresh, lots of vitamins, and that they get the outcomes from that product that we've promised them. There are risks. So the largest risk is the orange dot. It's the highest in likelihood and it has a fairly high impact, the cash flow issue. So my recommendation to mitigate this risk is not to start this process until there's enough retained earnings to simply use those to invest in the capital equipment instead of taking a loan. The next highest risk is the likelihood teal dot. The competition reacts with an advertising and price war. They are going to react to a new fresh strawberry in the market, and the mitigation plan is to emphasize that this is a product for the select consumers who are willing to pay for this premium high quality product. The green dot is the hazard risk of a strawberry blight destroying the crops and the plants. And the mitigation here is to make sure that workers are trained and we have systems to reduce the outside influence of pests and viruses and that kind of thing for plants coming in. And one way to do this is a foot bath where people walk through a special infectious bath as they walk in. And the other is a positive air pressure inside the indoor building so that air is always blowing out and keeping the inside clean and fresh. And the last risk is the blue dot, that somehow our supply of fresh young strawberry plants is cut off. And the solution there, or the mitigation, might be to run our own nursery in part of the indoor farm. So that's the presentation on whether you should start an indoor farm at Ferris Farm, and I'm now open for any questions you may have.